Hello, Talkhouse friends, and welcome to 2026. We missed you too. This is Josh Modell, Talkhouse executive editor and host of our namesake podcast. But before we get into new Talkhouse podcast episodes, I'm going to drop something else in your feed from late last year that you might have missed. It's from our friends at the Jokermen podcast. You might know them from their insanely deep dives into the musical worlds of Bob Dylan, Lou Reed, and the Beach Boys, but they also do incredible artist interviews on a regular basis. The one you're about to hear is with Daniel Rossen of Grizzly Bear, conducted not long after that band's 2025 reunion tour. They go long with Rossen, who's super forthcoming about where his band and his brain are at. Check it out, and we'll see you next week with a brand new Talkhouse episode.
Welcome back to Jokermen in Conversation. I'm Ian. Double shot of interview episodes coming your way this week, just sort of the way that stars ended up aligning on our end. Today on the program, Daniel Rossen, better known as one of the leaders of Grizzly Bear, a band that I assume for many of my fellow millennials out there needs no introduction, but to give them one, nonetheless, one of the seminal indie rock acts of that classic, 2006 to 2012-ish era. Of course, one of the 3 points of the iconic 2009 triangle consisting of Animal Collective, Dirty Projectors, and themselves, and Grizzly Bear. I've been listening to them for, years at this point, close to 20, which is sort of crazy to say. And so when they announced don't call it a reunion tour, but a tour that consisted of the band members reuniting, when they announced that, I said, I gotta go, gotta catch one of these shows. I was fortunate enough to see them right here in beautiful San Francisco at the Warfield Theater, where, of course, as I remark often, Bob Dylan played a legendary series of fire and brimstone Christian era gigs. But it was a fantastic show, one of the best I've seen in quite some time. Just loud. Daniel mentions a little bit about this in the interview, is the sound guy likes to crank the levels here and there occasionally. But lucky for me, Daniel's actually, I think, something of an actual listener of Jokermen, or has become one over the last little while. So wanted to take the opportunity to grab him, debrief on this excellent run of shows that they just finished playing, reflect, a little bit on a life as an indie rock star. I guess he might be embarrassed to hear me call him that, but that is, at least an indie rock star. I think that qualifies. And then, maybe look forward into the future for himself and for Grizzly Bear. No promises, no plans on the horizon, but sounds like this tour, went really well for everyone. I can attest, having seen it, it went fucking great from the audience. And so, maybe we'll have a future with a little more Grizzly Bear music in it, live, on record, one way or another. Lord knows that would make for a better world for us all. Here's Daniel. Daniel Rossen, thank you so much for joining us here on Jokermen.
Yeah, thanks for having me.
A pleasure is all mine. I remember I saw, a couple months ago at this point, a while ago, I saw your name pop up on the old Instagram notification section that you gave the Jokermen account to follow, and I was, my heart fluttered a little bit because it's always a treat when someone that I've been listening to, a favorite artist of mine from years ago, seems to tune into what we're doing here. So let me just say up front, it's I'm flattered that you listen and that you're here to talk to me.
Yeah, no, I love the show. I've been enjoying it the last year or so.
Well, that's too kind. I love Grizzly Bear. which is what we're ostensibly here to talk about. Maybe a couple other subjects beyond as well. But as we speak here, early December, you guys just finished up what I could tell was a very warmly received run of dates. Not a huge tour, but certainly getting out there in some of the bigger markets. I caught you at the beautiful Warfield here in San Francisco. I guess let's start. Like how did it feel to be back doing this again after I think 6-7 years, right?
Yeah, 7, kind of more like 7 since a full tour.
Yeah.
It was good. I mean, I think it was a little more natural than maybe we even expected in some ways. But it's obviously been a long time. I've kept up with those guys well enough. But it took some doing to to get everything working again. And I will say, I mean, for me, I've done some smaller shows and other smaller gigs, but it's definitely an adjustment being on like a real stage again and kind of being assaulted by the the sound and the lights and everything. It took a second to kind of find our footing. But yeah,
it was a hell of a performance. I mean, I wish I would have been able to catch more than just the one show, but just like right from the very beginning, I think you opened the San Francisco date with Southern Point, I want to say. It was just fucking loud as hell, man. I love that.
I hope it sounded okay. Yeah, so our sound guy gets a little excited. I think he likes to push the low end, especially very hard. So yeah, it's kind of funny. It's like these more intricate tunes from the records can turn into these like completely nuts, like bombastic live experiences. But
I mean, that's what that's the purpose of going to the live show, purpose of playing the live show. And I think that's what to me makes Grizzly Bear's music so sort of like eternal, so great, so constantly relevant. I think of a lot of the music from back in the day, so to speak, and as great as some of it was, it might be a little sort of light or ethereal or just not really have much kind of oomph to it. And I think what's great about the Grizzly Bear discography, and certainly you guys really take this to the ultimate extent possible when you play live, is like it is a rock, like it's a rock band, like there's no question about that. And I don't think I even realized that at the time, but returning to the music however long, 15, 20 years down the line, like that's absolutely what I am responding to at this point. How'd you guys even kind of get this? What made you and everyone else, Christopher and Ed, kind of decide to start this thing up again?
I mean, we started talking about it, I guess about 1.5 years ago. There was some nudging from the outside, but I think we had reached a point where, each of us have our own lives and families, and so much has happened in the time since, I mean, going through the pandemic and having young kids, and our lives have changed so much. I think we kind of got to a point where it just sounded fun again, honestly. And I think, at least for my part, I was excited to reapproach the material again with a totally different perspective on, what music meant in our lives and what the songs could mean to each of us. Just because, like all the pressure's gone, we've basically stopped. So coming back to it, it's just like, well, this is all just for the joy of playing, which is just a very novel way of coming back to shows. There's no album cycle pressure. There's no expectation of, a record holding up to the last one or, the rest of that. So it was just kind of like, well, why don't we just see each other again and see how that feels? And just kind of, just explore the catalog and kind of try to enjoy it a little more. And I think we were successful in doing at least that.
It was certainly enjoyable to me, and it seemed like you guys were enjoying yourselves up there on stage. Is that, I guess, like exploring the catalog, enjoying things a little bit more? Is that something that maybe was harder to do when you were in the thick of it, like in kind of, in the shit, so to speak?
I mean, sure, especially towards the end. But I mean, yeah, I think when you are I don't know, coming up in the way that we did, and there was a lot of ambition, certainly, and I think we had expectations for ourselves of where we were going, where we were headed, and I think that created an environment where it could be a little more difficult in the moment, especially on the shows when you're playing for months on end. It can be difficult to really enjoy what you're doing. You start to kind of disassociate more and more. And
it is a job. It's a job, and it's a fucking hard job, as far as I can tell. Just trucking yourself around the world to play these rock shows every night.
It's also great, It's also an incredible thing. So in a way, it's a shame to not be able to be as in it. But yeah, I think, and I guess that's what I mean. It's like, because it's been so long, and it's sort of understood that, like, our band, it's from another era. Like, we represent a different time, and we don't have that kind of pressure anymore. Given the way things kind of went with us. So it was like, it was just kind of nice to revisit that stuff. And in a way, I found it really kind of reassuring, or maybe that's not the right word. I found it, it was nice to discover how much I still enjoyed performing in that way. Like,
sure.
After it being so long, and like, I can still do it. I can still sing in front of people. We can still really do this. And it felt like there's potential, at least to perform and maybe find new music through performing, whether it's the band or anything else. It was just like, it kind of shook off, at least for me, this feeling that, like, life has changed. My life has moved on. Everybody's lives have moved on. Like, that chapter is just over. And it was nice to kind of just open it back up again, be like, no, we're still here. Like, we can still do this. Like, so that felt really good.
Awesome. That's everything that you could hope for, I think, from something like this. You and Christopher, at least, have been, like, you guys have continued to collaborate kind of together since Grizzly Bear went, on hiatus or on pause, or, what was it like, kind of the two of you not having paused, at least your working relationship, but then kind of coming back together with, like, Ed and Chris, for instance?
Chris and I he worked on, I did a record on my own, and he worked on that quite a bit, and we did a score together, film score. That was over the course of 5 years. But I've been in touch with all of them. We just hadn't seen each other. So it really it honestly didn't feel that strange to get back together with them. There was certainly some anxiety about, whether we could all handle it. But as soon as we were there, we spent a couple weeks rehearsing in the Deep Valley on a soundstage, and as soon as we got there, it was totally natural. I don't know. I guess that's kind of a boring answer, but it was it was surprisingly easy in a way, which was nice.
That's the best kind of answer to receive. Were there any, like, revisiting the material? Did you guys have any? I don't know, because it was I wouldn't say like a super deep cuts thing. It wasn't like you were like completely avoiding the hits, but like, I don't think you played Knife.
No, we didn't.
And there were, some deeper cuts. I think that I dug getting to hear live. Were there any, surprises or unexpected discoveries coming back to some of this stuff? Certainly, like some of the older stuff.
I don't know, surprises. It was we were trying to reopen some of the older material as much as we could. There were some pretty extreme time limitations, so I feel like we didn't get as far as we wanted to, honestly. We talked a big game about doing that, and we sort of didn't quite get there with that project. It's funny things, like we wanted to switch the setup as much as we could every night, but the fact is there's just certain songs people want to hear.
Sure.
And it's like, we're not doing a 3-hour set. So at a certain point, it was like, okay, well, it's probably going to be like these 10 songs plus like a little variation. It was
not
much
getting
less,
out of there without 2 weeks.
Of course. Yeah. never going to. Well, but even beyond that, there's a whole list where it's like, well, we got to play Ready Able, and we got to play, Sleeping Ute, and yada yada. Like, there's just like certain ones. But yeah, no, it was fun. Like, we definitely exploring like the Friend EP material and stuff like that was kind of great to reopen. We had some idea about also trying to incorporate more acoustic stuff back into the set, which we just couldn't quite get there with that. I wish we could have.
Well, you did a little bit of that at like the very
end.
Yeah,
there was like one encore, but I was kind of hoping to dig into, like we were talking about trying to do Reprise from Yellow House, which is like, banjo. It would be a little bit challenging for us just because it's, sound wise, that sort of thing is hard to get right. But yeah, there was songs like that and things from Shields, like the B-sides from Shields that we were trying to reopen again. And if we do more shows, I'm kind of hoping we can dig more into that, because I think it'd be cool to have a little more variation in the set. Like I do like that it's a rock show, and I like that we can just be a rock band live. I think that's important to be able to do that. But sometimes I miss a little more of that material now. I mean, we've never really done it at all live. I mean, we kind of always did a rock show and kept the more intricate acoustic stuff was always just the records.
Sure.
But yeah.
I had my fingers crossed for He Hit Me. From I wasn't expecting that one, but that was one of the earliest things, or maybe the first thing that I heard, after Yellow House, which was like, whoa, there's really something going on here.
I kind of wonder how a cover like that would age at this point. Like, would that come off the same way now? I don't know. But
it's probably, it might be more better. Some boxes are better left unopened, certainly. I guess, thinking about some of the records, I don't know exactly what the breakdown was for each set, but certainly, Yellow House, Veckatimest, and then Shields make up the majority of the material that you guys were playing. How do you feel about those three records, at this point, which do kind of sort of represent the, I think the stuff that most of the mass culture is imprinted on as this is what Grizzly Bear is about. Yeah, totally.
I mean, I'm still, it's hard to have any thought about it. It's just like, it's my life. But I mean, especially, for me, I think Shields and Yellow House are probably the ones that I feel the closest to. I mean, there's also plenty of things on Veckatimest that I still feel that way. I mean, it's funny, like now it's easier for me to hear, like, not necessarily, maybe I don't want to call them flaws, but we sometimes would just kind of push through whatever we were working on. Or maybe I would do this where it's like, what you want it to sound like. I like how this feels. Let's just do it. And then certain things would kind of fall by the wayside. And now we're performing these songs. And I'm like, you really could have written another verse instead of just saying the same fucking thing twice. Like there are things like that now where I'm like, I think I would have fixed that. But, these things happen. But I mean, like Shields in particular, I don't know. I don't know that that's really a favorite of those for many listeners. But to me, that was like, it's a favorite of mine just because it felt like we were pushing out to the edges of what we could do, maybe as much as any release that we did. And it has some of my favorite songs to play still, that are, just a little bit more out there, but also feel, at least for us, like a little more cohesive as songs. Not quite so like inscrutable. Or just pop songs, we had kind of like that. Those were the poles oftentimes in our music.
Sure.
So yeah, I mean, I feel I still am very fond of that one and playing that material. Yeah, and then the last record that we did years later is, I'm not going to call it an afterthought, but it definitely, to me, lacks. Even at the time, it kind of lacked the I don't know, the soul. Like it just felt a little hollow even when we were doing it. We I think we kind of knew that it was like we're trying to keep this thing alive, but maybe this one isn't totally working. But there are still songs on that one that I can come back to and enjoy.
Painted Ruins you're talking about.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, it's funny to listen to these records and think about them a little bit more, Shields in particular, because like coming back to this stuff, like I think that's probably the best record. Not that I need to sit here and like rank things, but I was really floored by it, kind of returning to it after, quite some time of letting it just kind of sit there and sort of ambiently assuming like, oh, it's Veckatimest. Just the same way that like the best Animal Collective record is Merriweather, even though that probably also isn't true either. So, coming back to it, like I was saying, it was stunning. And I loved how much of that shit you guys played. Sun in Your Eyes, I think maybe you closed the main set with that. Yeah, amazing. Huge.
That's probably my favorite song to play. We play that every night.
Man, yeah, you guys nailed that one. But so all that being said, and all that being the case, at least to me, like when it came out, in 2012, a couple years after Veckatimest, it almost feels like that, like that's right when the line that the culture had been traveling on, the rock culture, indie culture, whatever, like there's a hard left right there. Yeah. And Shields comes out at like the exact sort of wrong moment. Right. And through no fault of your own whatsoever, just kind of overnight, everything that had kind of been building and pushing, and that Veckatimest had sort of been caught up in and elevated thanks to that whole kind of wave of energy just sort of dissipated. I don't know. I feel like that record is destined to be sort of a future sort of undersung discovery, like a real not deep cut type of thing, because it is one of your more popular records, but just one that like the heads know is like this is the one.
Yeah, maybe. Yeah.
Any of those thoughts or any of those, kind of feelings, were you conscious of any of that at the time, or, kind of in the space of time between that record and the next one?
I mean, I certainly I think became very conscious of it in the intervening years. I mean, at the time we were so much in our own world. And it's funny because it's like, that was a strange record to go through in general, because like, there was a lot of pressure. We pushed really hard to make it something special, and we were kind of, it was fractious kind of record to make. I think you can hear that in the record to some degree, but that's fine. That's like part of the substance of what it is. It's like pushing at all directions. And we got through it and played like some of the biggest shows of our career, and everyone was still sort of just like frustrated on the other side. It was very strange.
Everyone in the band.
I mean, it was funny. It was like, it wasn't like we got through that cycle and everyone was like, great job, everyone. Like, so there was just, it's like nothing was quite right or good enough for something. And I mean, it's funny. I did read I read your piece after you saw the show.
Oh, thanks.
Because because I'm following you now. But it was a good piece, and I thought and I think it was well said. But there's something you put in there where it was like, somewhere after Shields, we just kind of chilled. I think was the term you used, which is kind of true. But it was like, I remember after that, I just kind of wanted to walk away for a while. I think I felt like we had pushed as far as we could, and I tried as hard as I could to I don't know, make the band feel like as fully realized or as we could make it. And we just kind of, I think in our own personal world, we were just kind of disillusioned with how to work together, frankly, after that.
Sure.
And so I kind of like, I moved out of the city and moved to like a place in central New York, and kind of got lost there, and kind of lost the will to make a lot of music after that. I kind of just got lost living up there, and it was, amazing. I loved it. It was all sort of like being intoxicated, both on, actual alcohol, but also the place itself, like just kind of having like an extended lost period. And by the time we came back around, like times had really changed. And I think that cultural shift that you've talked about, and I've heard other writers talk about, I mean, that really had thoroughly taken place. And I think, by the time we'd even started talking about trying to make music together again, it just, everything was so different that, just like what our place in the culture was. I mean, it was obviously so different. It happened relatively quickly, I guess.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, overnight, frankly. Where I'm just curious, and you don't need to be too specific, but where in central New York? The only reason I ask is because my wife is from she's from like the Vestal Binghamton area.
Okay,
if that means
not
anything
there.
to you.
More like Otsego County.
Otsego County. Okay,
closer to where, like, Ginsberg had his time.
Sure.
Definitely like beyond the reach of fancy kind of like a city adjacent culture up there. It's like
a little ways out there.
It's ways out there. It's pretty unchanged. Kind of. It's been the sort of, I've had this place for like 15 years, and it's pretty much the same.
Were you deliberately trying to get out of, the scene as it existed at that point?
Not really. My wife grew up, someone she went to school with grew up out there, and we would visit her up there. And we just kind of fell in love with that little spot, that part of the world. I mean, New York State just goes on and on and on and on forever.
It's big.
And every little corner has its own character, I guess. But yeah, that was why we'd been going up there, and it was kind of a dream of ours to have somewhere to go. And as soon as I had the means to do it, we just did it and left the city, and that was it.
Yeah, that's great. Would you, knowing how things worked out, and you saying when you guys came off like the Shield cycle, everyone felt sort of disillusioned and maybe a little bit frustrated with where things were at, and then obviously kind of scattered to the wind for some period of time before coming back again together, only to find that the ground had sort of shifted beneath your feet. Looking back, like, would you have tried to do something different, or I don't know, go about it in a different way, knowing kind of what the future would hold?
What, you mean that last record or something? Or,
yeah,
or just in
like
general?
You saying that coming off Shields, like you kind of lost the will to make music for several years, and sort of walked away, and then it sounded like Painted Ruins maybe didn't all come together the way that you might have necessarily wanted it to. Like I don't know, instead of taking some time apart, and resetting things, maybe like continuing to try to forge ahead and kind of bust through whatever barrier might have presented itself.
That probably would have been wise. The thing is, it's not that I stopped making music. It was just like, I felt an extreme desire to disengage from the music world. It was like that. It was like, I didn't want to have to try to prove the value of what I made anymore to anybody. And so I kind of kept making things, but yeah, what could we have done? I have no idea. I think we all needed a little bit of space to just be in our own lives after that point too, because we were pushing pretty hard. Starting in 2005.
Sure.
We toured quite a bit, and we were working quite steadily between those years. And because of because we were very much a band. We were not like, a solo artist that brings his musicians in, makes the records. It was like the relationship was so much more close and kind of dynamic and family-like that I think after, 7 years together like that, we just needed a moment. I don't know. I think it's great. I honestly, it's like, the fact that we were able to do what we did at all, I think, is amazing. And I certainly don't have regrets about it.
Sure.
And yeah, I'm glad to be able to look back on it and revisit it and play it with them again and still feel good about it, instead of, yeah, I think I think it's been pointed out, like, yeah, there was certain expectation maybe that our band was going to be something that it wasn't, or was going to be more than it was.
Expectations from yourselves,
just from the trajectory, from outside and from ourselves too. We were plenty ambitious when we were young. I certainly hoped, especially in that area, 2008 through 2012, I was making so much music all the time.
Sure.
And it was like, I don't know, going reasonably well. Like I certainly thought that I was, like, I'm a lifer. Like this is never going to stop. Like, I'm just going to keep going. And then it just stopped. And it was kind of shocking for a while. So I don't know. I guess I'm getting off track here, but
no, this is there's no track to worry about. We're just wandering through the forest here together.
Yeah, but yeah, no, I don't. At this point, I don't have regrets. I think it was a long period of adjustment, probably like almost like a decade of adjustment after Shields, and then what happened on the Painted Ruins time, and then just the whole world falling apart.
Sure.
I mean, it was a long period of shock of just kind of like readjusting to what life is now. But that said, I think, I think doing these shows again was a reminder that anything can still happen. I mean, I think I have a tendency to get stuck in almost like fatalistic narratives about what life can be and what my music life can be and what the band could be. And it's kind of nice to just blow that up a little bit. And so I don't know, at least in the last year or so, I've been trying to get myself back in the mind of like, what if I just played any kind of shows? What if I'm just playing in New Mexico? Like, who cares? What if I'm playing like dive bars in Cerrillos or something? There aren't any dive bars in Cerrillos, but there's just donkeys. But yeah, I just want to feel like there's still possibility in the late life of a musician, which is relevant to the Jokermen show.
Absolutely. Oh, please, late life of a musician. Have you seen how old Bob Dylan is?
Well, that's a specific case. I mean, he's a special man.
He sure is.
From the first morning light, I can follow along, just to stumble and find what turns out to be from the top, children,
Yeah, I mean, I think that I think that makes perfect sense, and I think that sounds like the exact right way to be operating at this point. I mentioned, I was texting with one of my friends recently. Who's local here in the Bay Area, and he couldn't come to the San Francisco show. He went to the Oakland show the night after, and I told him I couldn't catch because I had something else going on that night. But I mentioned that you and I were hopefully going to speak, and he was like, ask him when the next Department of Eagles record is coming out. So like I think there's a lot of interest and pent up demand. That's a sort of a mercenary industry like term to be using, but I think a lot of people want to be listening to anything coming from you, no matter what the context, even if it isn't whatever headlining Pitchfork Fest or something. Not that Pitchfork Fest even exists anymore.
Not here anyway.
What's it like? You are down in New Mexico for some period of the time now, right?
Yeah, I mean, at this point, most of the time now. I have a 6-year-old in school, so she's got a life here, and my wife, though she was fond of our rural existence to some degree, it definitely drove her absolutely insane, much more than me, and she's not wrong. But I know Santa Fe, she grew up here, and I've always loved this place. So we started spending more time here. Now that we have a kid, we're here most of the time. But yeah, it's a funny little place. It's beautiful. It's hard to make music here other than by yourself, but that's fine. I'm trying to branch out, meet who I can. But yeah, no, it's great here.
Yeah, is there much of a, I mean, I guess it sounds like the answer might be no, but much of a sort of, miniature
There are definitely things.
I feel like creative people are generally in the Santa Fe area.
Totally. No, absolutely. I mean, in the music world, as much as I have found, there's actually like a very robust kind of like drone noise ambient scene here. That's very, it's cool. It's very kind of, well, I don't want to say charming. That sounds yeah. So, but I mean, there's a group of people here that put on, or I don't know if they still do it, but they would do like drone nights in their apartment, and like anyone would come by with whatever instrument they have and just drone with one another. Just like a drone community. But no, there's a world, there's that kind of thing. You know, there's definitely like, you get some Los Angeles transplants here that come with their felt hat and want to do
the feather in there.
Kind of like, yeah, there's definitely like some rolling thunder.
Exactly. Yeah, they got the white face on.
Yeah, maybe not quite that far, but certain expectations of this place to be like a sort of romantic, dusty, Western setting. And it's not quite that. I mean, it's beautiful, but there isn't much, it's not a lot of younger people here. I mean, like sure. I'm very young for this town. That's changing a little bit, but, so yeah, no, it's tough. There's no like, if I want to find a drummer or something, that's incredibly difficult. Like any musician that's working in like a studio capacity, like you just can't live here because there's just not any work. You know, there's nothing for them to do. So you know, it's challenging.
Sure. Does that manifest in the work that you're? Because I assume, you know, it sounds like you are still continuing to write and record yourself. Does that? I don't know. How does that work out in the directions you've gone, you know, since?
It's been difficult. Yeah, I mean, the record that I made on my own, I recorded almost all of it by myself, aside from going to LA when I could to work with Chris, and he played drums on it, which was great. But no, I mean, it's been cool in that I've had to learn more about recording. I've sort of branched out in instruments that I've been trying to play, and I've just been kind of collecting whatever I can in my little crowded studio space of just like, got, you know, horns and an upright bass and like all kinds of garbage in there now that I'm trying to work with, which has been great. But I mean, yeah, I'm back now at a place where I just really miss playing with other people. I don't want to work like this anymore. I think it's really tiresome. You have to really have a strong, I don't know the exact kind of person that can keep working alone forever. It just seems, it's just beyond me. I can't generate the enthusiasm just by myself all the time. Yeah. It's just exhausting. So I'm looking around now. I'm trying to, I can see who I can talk to, you know, just talk to some people in Albuquerque, see what there's some youngins out there that feel like, playing some shows. I'm trying to find those people.
That's great. Yeah. I know the feeling of the, you know, kind of just toiling away in complete, you know, obscurity and darkness. I was, before my semi-successful career as a podcaster, I was a failed writer. And so, you know, just the sense of sitting there and just like plugging away at this thing day after day after day, whatever it is, a story or a manuscript or whatever. And then just like knowing that, or feeling in the pit of your stomach, for me at least, not that this is the case for you because you're a very successful musician, but for me, just like no one's ever going to read this shit. It did. I started to tear my hair out at a certain point. And so having, you know, a community, you know, I'm fortunate enough that community as it exists is mostly online anyways. Like that definitely helps give you fuel to keep going, you know?
Totally. Yeah, no, trying to embrace that more. I mean, it is funny. It's I will say, I guess, I mean, I know I don't know, I'm technically successful, but I will say after living in the places I've lived for as long as I have, you really do forget that there's any meaning for what you're doing in the outside world. It's very easy here to just be like, I'm just a guy. I don't know other musicians. Everybody I know does something else. And it is true. It's like, though I don't want to have, you know, my ego stroked or whatever all the time, but when you don't have people around to kind of remind you that, like, you know, you do this, like, this is actually your life. Like, you should make music. It's easy to just kind of take it, I don't know, you lose perspective and it just feels a little bit meaningless. So yeah, again, another reason it was nice to do these shows again, where I was like, oh, look, there's this whole community of people and like the cities where people still live. And, you know, it was a nice reminder of that.
Sure. Is everyone else in LA?
Chris, the bassist, you know, corn player, et cetera. He lives in Barcelona, actually.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, he's got family there. But yeah, the other guys are in LA.
And it sounded like you guys were rehearsing there.
Yes. I mean, I don't know if you could really quite call that LA, but it was
Deep Valley. I'm from the Deep Valley, so that's Los Angeles to me.
Totally. No, it is. It is. I grew up in LA. So
where in Los Angeles?
We moved around, but Westwood for a bit, and then Culver City, and then kind of like near San Pedro.
Oh, down South Bay. All right. Were you like a Minutemen fan or anything?
Definitely not at the time, but I've since come to very much appreciate them.
The patron saints of San Pedro.
But no, I loved it as a kid. I thought I would go back, but it didn't call to me.
Yeah, I know the feeling. I was born and grew up in Orange County, and then we lived in like the Agora, Calabasas area. If you're familiar with that out there, that was my whole adolescence, and then I lived in Toluca Lake for a while, and then I actually went to UCLA, so I'm very familiar with Westwood. Koreatown, downtown. So I've been all over, and I always kind of thought that was where I was meant to be. I ended up doing a couple years in New York, coinciding with the pandemic. Worst possible time to be living in New York. Wow. Nice. But now, have decamped to San Francisco and feel very fond about Northern California. But Los Angeles is, it's, for all its foibles, still holds a warm place in my heart. I don't think I could ever actually live there again, but I do still love it.
I hear that.
Do you have a sense of what sort of because one thing that I feel, just as someone here in Northern California, like there's a scene here in the General Bay area, some cool cats that live in different parts of California around here, and there's promoters like Folk that kind of bring together a really cool tight community. But I do get this sense, I do get a little bit of FOMO sometimes, just knowing what's going on down in Los Angeles. Like my family's still down there, and just like the endless, great shows that are always coming through, and everyone's recording there and stuff. What sense do you have of any city, really, Los Angeles or New York or anywhere else, as like a base for the type of community that you're looking for, or that you've talked about, like people in the world to make music? 'Cause I feel like that's one of the distinguishing traits of these days, the last 5-10 years, certainly since COVID, is like, I don't know where anyone goes to make music at this point, I guess, besides just Los Angeles or New York. Yeah,
I don't know either. I mean, there's certainly clearly a very robust scene happening in Chicago right now. I've discovered, I don't know, there's Asheville. Clearly there's a lot going on in that area. I'm not going to any of those places, but no, man, I'm going to find it here. So I'm going to find some like fucking deadbeat kids that want to play rock shows. They're here somewhere. They're maybe living with their parents. Maybe they're older. Maybe they're around.
Sounds like you're looking to put together your version of like Bob Dylan and the Plugs. When he went on Letterman to do the punk rock Jokermen. We need Daniel Rossen and the Plugs of Albuquerque or whatever.
Yeah, I think at first that was an idea I had the last couple of years. I was like, you don't have to have any skill. You just have to have enthusiasm. But even that can be hard to come by here. But no, I have no idea where people go. They go to Los Angeles. I'm not going to Los Angeles. It's fine. Yeah. If anything, I've found. I certainly appreciate it a lot more when I can actually see shows. I mean, whenever I leave Santa Fe, I'm always just looking to see what I can find anywhere. I mean, when we're in New York, upstate New York, I'm like, I'll go down to Kingston and go to Tubby's.
Yeah, hit Tubby's. Yeah, exactly.
And it's great. It's great to be able to really enjoy that. Not that I didn't when I lived in New York. I think I just sort of took it for granted. No, I have absolutely, of course I have FOMO. I wish I had access to all of that culture all the time. I mean, but there's whatever. It's boring. There are trade-offs.
It's difficult to balance. Absolutely. And as great as it is to be able to, just wake up in the morning any day of the week and say oh, there's 3 great shows going on tonight that I could hit anywhere. You also need to put up with the other 23 hours of your life beyond just the 1 hour that you're doing that thing that you want to do, and that at a place from personal experience, for me at least, doing that in Los Angeles or New York is exceedingly difficult for me at this point.
Yeah, no, for sure. I mean, I think I should make work a career or whatever more. It should be more central. I should make it more central in my life, but I have a really hard time not just prioritizing. Like, I could get up and drive 5 minutes and then I'm like in the mountains and I can run for an hour in the middle of nowhere. Like, it's amazing. And, you know, for my daughter, it's like, oh, we can just walk down the street to her school and it's beautiful. And, you know, everything is kind of easy. And I don't know. It feels like it just doesn't feel worth it to me to let go of the kind of just, not just quality of life, but, I don't know, a place like Santa Fe is just a really real place. I don't know what to say, but I don't know if that sounds cheesy, but it's like, it just feels like a much more like textured, rich kind of life than I would think I could have overall living in LA or something like that. Now, I think that's probably where I'd be if it wasn't here.
Sure. No, I totally get that. Having been to Santa Fe a couple times is not for many years at this point, but my grandmother used to love to go to Santa Fe. It's just, real place. I think that's the exact right way to describe it. Can't help but wonder, you know, as a veteran of the quote unquote indie rock scene, you know, someone who lived it and saw it all, and went through it for better or for worse, what do you make of what even, you know, counts as, you know, the indie rock scene of 2025?
I mean, I think there's some great stuff. Like the last couple of years, I think has been pretty great. I don't know. More so than,
what are we talking here? MJ Lenderman, Geese,
all the shit. I mean, I haven't. I had an MJ Lenderman phase for sure. I've put those records down. I have not found that I've really wanted to pick them up again, but I did really love those when they came out.
Sure.
Maybe less so Geese. I loved the Cameron Winter record, as everybody did. I mean, you know, it's inescapable, but
great record.
I do think it was a pretty phenomenal and amazing record. You know, again, there's these things I've discovered. There's a little scene in Chicago around, like, you know, lifeguard, horse girl, sharp pins, these like kids that are making kind of scrappy, garagey, punky indie rock. That's great.
Sure.
You know, the sort of Lenderman adjacent universe. I like some of that stuff. Why am I blanking on names here? What's the name of that band? The Caveman Wakes Up. What's the name of that?
Oh, Friendship.
I enjoyed that record.
Yeah.
Even stuff like S.G. Goodman. I actually really like that record. It's not like stylistically totally my bag, but I sort of enjoy her sort of lyrical ability and persona. I don't know. It just feels it feels like people are playing in bands again, which is sort of nice, you know, like you can see a show. That was probably always true, but I think it felt like for a while, especially in the mid-teens, early 20s, I don't feel like there was quite as much of that to see, really, right? But then again, totally. I say that, but that was also a period of my life where I just was completely checked out of new music. So I found myself trying to pay more attention the last few years, just because, like, even if it's the stuff everybody's hearing, I just didn't want to become one of these old guys that just has no idea what's happening in the world. And I just think that's so dreary. I mean, that's the thing. It's like I kind of discovered Jokermen via following Stephen Hyden, because I was sometimes I'd check in on his show, his other show, the IndieCast show. I would listen to that sometimes to try to like just get a sense of, I don't know, what they were talking about. And well, most of the time it was stuff I had no interest in, but it still was like cool.
Not a big emo head for all of Ian Cohen's random emo bands.
Definitely not. But I still found it useful to just kind of like check in.
Yeah, keep your finger on the pulse.
But anyway, yeah.
it's funny you say all that, because I was going to mention it. Steve and I have talked about this, I think, on pods before, on Never Ending Story stuff, or like just offline also. But like the dichotomy between the like solo artist and the rock band is a really interesting one, and it definitely feels, I think, like the last couple of years, 5-10 years, whatever, have been much more focused on, or at least you've had bigger, more successful names coming out as solo artists as opposed to rock bands. And that's what makes something like Geese or Cameron Winter so interesting, is like he's at that point, where like he could do one or he could do the other. It might be sort of difficult to like do both, and I think the rarity of the great rock band is, I mean, there's a reason it's rare, and you see it with Radiohead right now. Like it's just like, I think it's hard to maintain that working relationship, certainly over a long span of time, particularly when people live in different places and have different things going on in their lives. Not to mention all the economic pressures, and so I think some artists sort of like just kind of pursue the solo act almost by default. Like it's just easier to do, to kind of fit it into your life, but that also gives the culture this sort of paucity, or this lack of rock bands that, I don't know, I feel like I at least kind of took for granted, coming up when I was 15, when I was getting into Grizzly Bear or Dirty Projectors or Deer Hunter, like what I wouldn't give for a Deer Hunter record today, man. And I don't know.
I mean, I hear tell that guy's still writing. He's written hundreds of songs.
Bradford?
I
wouldn't. I don't know what else he would do. He's a great music making machine. Just put it out, Bradford.
I won't speak to that, but no, I know what you're saying. I mean, in order for bands to thrive, to have scenes like that, it's got to be cheap. You got to be able to bum around. I mean, it was actually kind of what our life was in Brooklyn in the early. I mean, I was sleeping in the van and sleeping on the couches of bandmates for a few years there. I mean, you have to be able to do that and still feel like a human enough to get through, I think, to make bands work. I have no idea how anybody does that now. I mean, I can't imagine. Yeah, it's a shame, but it just seems like there's a little more here and there.
Yeah, you might see. I feel like maybe there's some promising things. I feel like like we said, Geese, is really exciting. Whether or not it's your type of music, I feel like Wednesday, is another one.
Sure.
So hopefully there's some cool stuff coming down the pike. Do you detect much Grizzly Bear DNA in any kind of current artists or scenes or anything? Because you're getting to the point, you've gotten to the point where like the Grizzly Bear music has been out there for 20 years. Like that is plenty of time for those records to be metabolized and kind of turned into, not that someone's like trying to be the next Grizzly Bear, but like, for some elements, bits and pieces of what you guys were doing to sort of show up as influences, in next generations.
Yeah, I mean, it's around here and there. I don't know that I've heard it in anything very prominent. I mean, I wouldn't say I'm also like really listening for that.
Sure.
But, there's an artist that I worked with recently named Han Francis who I came in contact with. I mean, she certainly is in that lineage. She's not super well known. I'm sure one could find it if they looked. I mean, I don't know. I kind of feel like maybe I'm wrong, but I just get the sense that like the kind of music that we made has largely sort of fallen out of favor aesthetically for a long time. Maybe in the last few years a little less so, but I got the sense for a long time that our reputation even as a band was like a little bit thin in the long run, and just kind of like Brooklyn.
Interesting.
Kind of like hipster kids, a lot of style, very little substance. And I can even I can understand why people would feel that way if they didn't really know the catalog and weren't really following it. But
I mean, I feel like that's a fair critique to make of plenty of bands, back from the 2006 to 2012 heyday, let's call it. But like, I mean, anyone making that critique of Grizzly Bear to me just like completely 100% off target out of the gate.
Yeah, I mean, I think there's like what I think we had a certain kind of presentation that conflicted, I think, with like the overall catalog, which I still even like I did a couple interviews, just a couple around these tours, and yeah, one of the interviewers was like, well, what do you think about Grizzly Bear's reputation as just sort of like naive millennial hipsters? Like, how does that feel for you?
Is that the Grizzly Bear reputation? Would we?
I mean, it might be. I think too. Yeah, I guess it kind of is. I mean, I think it's also, it's part of the thing of having like, you know, the one song everybody knows, or not everybody, the one song people know if they know Grizzly Bear, like really isn't particularly related to most of our catalog.
Sure.
It's a nice pop song, but like stylistically has almost nothing to do with pretty much everything else we did. And I think because there was a period where we were like kind of slightly fashionable kids, you know, in Brooklyn, Jay-Z popped up once in a while or whatever.
It's like that's legendary.
You know, you can't escape that forever. That happens, and that you're done. Like that's who you are. You're like the hipster kids in Brooklyn with, you know, palling around, and you got your one kind of light, naive pop song, and like that's it. But I feel like you've talked about this, or somebody in your orbit has talked about like the difference between acts where like the songs people know are actually more representative of their work versus the kind of artists where it's like, yeah, you have the one standout hit that's like not really connected to your work.
Sure.
And I think that's something that very much happened to Grizzly Bear, and certainly can be frustrating for somebody like me, because like all the work that I focused on in that band was like the weirder stuff. It was all the, you know, it was definitely not the singles. It was always the more like, I don't know, out there material, which to me was always really important to what the band was, but I don't know how much that translates or sticks for most people. Anyway, I don't know where I'm getting at with this, but no, I don't know. I don't know if you hear Grizzly Bear out there in the world, you know, let me know. I don't.
Yeah, drop a line. I feel like maybe in the next like 5 years or something, it's going to start to come to the foreground a little bit more. I kind of get the sense that this, like, you know, just to again go back to the reference that we've mentioned already, like, you know, Geese obviously influenced by the Strokes, Linderman, and a lot of the bands in that, you know, general vicinity influenced by like Silver Juice, for instance, these bands that, you know, are from like 2000-ish, and like, you know, so we're about 5 years, you know, 6 years down the line. I definitely feel like the whole kind of pie of whatever, not that Grizzly Bear and Animal Collective and Dirty Projectors sounded anything alike in the first place, but in my mind, you three are always going to be sort of three sides of a triangle of 2009.
The 2009, experience.
What a time to be alive. Yeah, man, I just, that's so funny to hear that, well, I guess funny is maybe not the right word, but the reputation of naive, you know, hipster kids, or I just could not be further from, you know, what how I think of you, not only you guys as like a band and as people, but certainly the music. I just, whatever, that's, you can't dictate how other people are going to think about things, you know?
I mean, I probably shouldn't repeat these things, you know.
No one listens to this. It's fine.
What are you talking about?
One question that I just, you know, I've always, you know, one of my favorite things from the, you know, back in the day is the Michael McDonald guest spot. Can you just like, how did that, because like Michael McDonald today has got, you know, Steely Dan has sort of become, you know, a meme, and they're much more well respected at this point. And, you know, anyone in that general universe, Michael McDonald obviously singing backup with Steely Dan and then being connected via the Doobie Brothers and stuff like that. Like, that's all critically sort of legitimate and well respected in the culture at large at this point. But back in 2009, man, like that was not what people were like thinking is cool, or you know, culturally relevant or anything. And yet you guys were smart enough to rope him in for just an iconic guest spot on While You Wait for the Others. Just, can you walk me through how that whole thing came together?
Oh man, I'm glad that you know that one. I'm kind of sad how more people really need to hear that. I was actually going to suggest, I don't know if you're using any music for the show, but I was like, you should use the Michael McDonald version.
That's what we're going out on.
Okay, good. Yeah, I mean, you know, we enjoyed, you know, the sort of, I mean, I think that Michael McDonald's greatest, Doobie Brothers moments and all his work with Steely Dan, like I have a lot of respect for it, but also it's very easy to laugh. There's a lot of there's like joy in that music.
Of course.
And at that time, of course, there was like the Yacht Rock series. We saw those videos when we were kids. So we were familiar with the caricature of that music, but he's also just like an undeniable singer. Like he's fucking amazing.
Fantastic.
And minute by minute, I mean, what a song. What do you want? What do you want from music? It's great. But I don't somebody that was like somehow Chris Taylor, some friend of a friend of a friend of somebody like knew Michael McDonald and just asked him. I mean, he seems like he's just like I didn't actually get to meet him, which is sad for me, but just a really wonderful, like open, easygoing dude. I don't know.
Sure.
He just seems like he has very little ego about him. He's just like willing to try whatever. And for some reason he was open to singing that song. And I mean, like the first time we received the isolated vocal from him while we were on the road, and we decided to listen to it first, just by itself,
just like acapella,
just acapella
Oh,
on the bus sound system, just like no music. And it was just really one of the most joyful times ever.
Unbelievable.
I mean, and obviously lots of laughter, but like, I think at the time people thought we were, taking a piss, like we were trying to almost like making fun or something.
Right.
And of course it was meant to be fun. I mean, I kind of, at the time, like I really hated the idea of remixes. Well, I don't hate the idea. I think they mostly are bad.
Sure.
And I was not interested in like, well, the cut copy remix of while you wait for or whatever the fuck. Like it didn't sound interesting to me. It was like, what if we just kept the track and someone else sang it? And, I mean, I couldn't wish for anything better than what that is. It's just a joy and a delight.
It's fantastic. It's got, it is funny. It's like unexpected because it is just the same exact instrumental track as the actual
exactly
one.
the same.
Yeah. So like, this song, and then all of a sudden it's Michael McDonald singing it. And so there is something just like fundamentally funny about that. But at the same time, like it's fucking fantastic. It's so great.
Yeah. What a time.
What a time indeed. Was it While You Wait for the Others just because that was the second or third single off Veckatimest?
I mean, that was, it was hardly a single compared to 2 weeks, but it was treated as a single.
Sure. I've got the 7-inch.
Mm-hmm. Oh, there you go.
Yeah.
Look at you.
That'll fetch me a pretty penny on Discogs one day.
There you go.
Cool. Well, I think, I've probably eaten up enough of your afternoon. You got any other statements, thoughts to launch? Speak now, forever hold your peace.
No. I mean, I'm glad we avoided any deep discussion of like late career Bob Dylan, so I don't have to embarrass myself having the wrong opinion about any of those.
I'm happy to have those conversations with you. I don't want to make you feel insecure.
I think you spent enough time talking about, Bob Dylan of the aughts.
That is true. Yeah, there's only so many times you can say Mississippi is the best song Bob Dylan ever recorded. I guess I'll end with the softball over the plate, and feel free to dodge it if you want. But just like what might we see? Not holding you to anything, but what might we see from Grizzly Bear in the future at this point?
I don't know. I mean, I hope at least more shows where we explore more catalog. I mean, maybe we could get like our own Twisted Rough and Rowdy Ways tour where we just go on and on and on and on and on and on. Well, I guess except it wouldn't be one record. I don't know. Maybe that's the Outlaws tour. I don't know. But I don't know. It's hard to restart the kind of creative dialogue with anybody after this much time. Kind of can't just like jump right back in. Sure. Again, unless you're like a solo artist type person, it's like bring the band back together and like, well, we'll just try something. It's just we just don't have that setup. But I remain open. I mean, I would love it if we could do more, at least shows, maybe music, but it would have to feel like it. The spirit was there. It would have to feel feel right. And, I think we've really enjoyed hanging out again and playing music, and it's definitely not impossible, but I don't have any great statement on that other than that. Nothing promising beyond that.
I think that's
for now.
That's a perfectly, great place to leave it at. Because I think, if I would have asked you that question, 5 years ago, I think, I don't know. I get the impression that the answer might have been like, there's never going to be any more Grizzly Bear music, no more performances or anything. And now here we are. And, you guys have just concluded a, fantastic and, like I said, I think very well received run of dates, and just I can attest from having been there in the room, like you guys still got it. So, if it's there behind the scenes and if you can make that work and, kind of figure out a way to, I don't know, resume acting as a rock band with all the added pressures of locations and lives and kids and stuff like that. Like it's absolutely still there and still working. So that's, I think, as much as we can ask for at this point.
No, thank you. Appreciate that. Cool.
And Rossen, we'll leave it there.
Thanks for having me on.
By the look on your face, the burdens on your back, and the sun is in your eyes. Spreads down far and wide, the light that stores the same. So bright, so long, I'm never coming back.
Thanks again to Daniel Rossen of Grizzly Bear. Nothing really to plug here. A lot of times these interview episodes are pegged to new records dropping, tours, books, what have you. This was just for the love of the game. So shouts once again to Daniel. Like I mentioned in the interview, we're going out with the one, the only, Mr. Michael McDonald, singing one of the great Grizzly Bear songs, While You Wait for the Others. Wouldn't have it any other way here on Jokermen.
While you wait for the others to make it all worthwhile, all your useless pretensions are weighing on my time. You could beg for forgiveness as long as you like. I'll just wait out the evening. You'll only bleed me dry. Yes, you'll only bleed me dry. So I'll ask you kindly to make your way. And what was left, a perfect cleft. We all fall through. While you wait on the answer that I'll pretend